Okay, welcome back to American Literature. Today we are going to discuss chapters from 2022. We started them in the last class quickly, but we are going to exert some time on the first slides and then we elaborate on the discussion of the later chapters. Now you can see that Huckleberry Finn with Jim is on the raft, and you can see how they lead a whole life on the raft, and how after they lived with the Grangaford's family in the luxury life, they preferred to live on the raft, saying no life is like the life on the raft. Chapter 20, Chapter 22, Chapter 23, Chapter 20, 21, 22, sorry. In Chapter 20 shows the two con artists. Here we talk about the king and the duke again in action as they visit a small town and steal a few dollars. In one of the most hilarious episodes in the novel, they plan a show consisting of the most memorable scenes from the Shakespearean plays. The balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet, in which the old man, the king, will play Juliet, Hamlet's soliloquy from Hamlet, and the sword fight from Richard III. Yeah, this is the fight. Soliloquy was defined before. I want to skip this. I defined it for you, and I will leave this for you on the model. Okay. The performances are a complete fraud designed to bilk money from the naive country jakes, the villages. Okay. By the end of the chapter, Huck is fed up with kings. Yeah, they are no longer trustworthy from his perspective. Now, in Chapter 21, we meet the two con men again, the king and the duke, getting ready for the Shakespearean performance they intend to give in the towns they visit along the river for money. Needless to say that true to the fraudulent character of the duke, he does not know nearly as much about Shakespeare as he pretends. Yeah, he wanted to say that he knows Shakespeare and he's prestigious, he's well educated, he's knowledgeable, he's erudite, okay, and he knows Shakespearean language and he can act accordingly in order to deceive the people and Jim and Huck. As to Hamlet's to be or not to be, that is the soliloquy, the Duke presents it as a hodgepodge of lines from Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, as well as other plays. It's just a mixture. He doesn't know what the soliloquy is about. Hodgepodge means heterogeneous mixture, things from different places. The speech is hilarious and shows Mark Twain to be consummate writer of parodies. And we defined what parody is. Huck is happy and impressed, although he knows that they are deceptive. Parodies, mocking, imitation. We have said in the last class that it is parody, mimicry, burlesque, satire are of the same or of the same family. They are similar. Okay. It seemed like he was just born for it, and when he had his hand and he was excited, it was perfectly lovely the way he would rip and tear and rear up behind when he was getting it off. Indeed, in the circle at that the Duke prints to advertise their show, he bills himself as David Carrick and the king as Edmund Kean. Yeah, can see they are on the raft. One critic notes that the king and the duke stays for very long. 2/3 of the journey on the Mississippi were these two persons remained on the raft with Jim and Huck. So they present themselves two famous 19th century actors of the Romantic period. These, okay? And the circular has Shakespeare's name misspelled. Huck also gives us a careful description of the dilapidated town and its illiterate residents. The men are lethargic, do-nothings, they are idle, and their energies are focused mainly on obtaining chewing tobacco. Yeah, they just don't do it a lot. This landscape stands in stark contrast to the deceptive gentility of the Grangeford household. Yeah, this is the household. Along with many townspeople, Huck witnesses the cold-blooded shooting of a tough-talking drunk who insults a well-dressed man named Colonel Sherburne. Yeah. So how many killings, how many thefts, how many loots are there in Huckleberry Finn? When the drunk ignores Sherburne's warning, the colonel kills him. Does Mark Twain want to highlight the lawlessness of certain areas in America at the time? What will happen to the colonel? He is well dressed, he seems ostensibly to be a civilized person. And instead of showing concern for this murderous deed, the crowd immediately sets to arguing over who will get the front row seats to see him take his last breath. My goodness. Yeah. Well, by somebody said Sherburne ought to be lynched. Lynch is an American term, by the way, to kill somebody by, to kill. It has a meaning, it has something. And it is used after somebody, I think. In about a minute, everybody was saying it, so away they went, mad and yelling and snatching down every clothesline they come to do the hanging with. Then, ironically, though no one tried to prevent the murder, the mob decides to lynch Colonel Sherburne. Who is this Colonel Sherburne? Is a denizen of a little one-horse town in a Big Bend in Arkansas who appears in chapters 21 and chapter 22 of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. He is harassed by a drunken Boggs to whom he delivers an ultimatum like warning, final warning, to cease before 1 o'clock. Boggs persists though, and Colonel Sherburne shoots him dead. That's it. Chapter 22. Huck sneaks into a circus and is easily fooled by the prearranged act he watches. Even when he discovers that it has been planned, he still believes that the ringmaster was fooled. Yeah. Well, all through the circus, they done the most astonishing things. And all the time that clown carried on, so it most killed the people. Yeah, he says this. So, again, Huck believes what he sees for his eyes without scrutinizing what is going on in the ground. The ringmaster could not ever say a word to him, but he was back at him quick as a wink with the funniest things a buddy ever said. Thank you for today. If you want to ask questions, we are going to open a Zoom meeting tomorrow. But I want to stop here for now. So now so far we have done these chapters, chapter from 1 to 22. We are halfway of the novel, but still we have 20 chapters to go, or 21 chapters to be more accurate. And we have the rest of this week and next week. I don't know whether we are going to finish everything off in relation to Huckleberry Finn, but I want you, if we don't finish it off, we will stop where we are stopped by the administration or by the distance learning committee. I want you to go through the books I have referred you to, Harold Bloom Interpretations. It is very influential, it's very informative. There is a chapter in Harold Bloom's book under the title Realism in Huckleberry Finn. And there the writer discusses this most beautiful piece an American had ever written. I want you to go and read it. You might need to comment on it later on the exam, or you might be assigned assigned an assignment, given an assignment to write an analysis of this piece. Also, I want you to make sure that what we explain, what we do here is important and is necessary for you to read and go to the book, to the original book. I left a book with thesaurus for you in the bookshop. I couldn't upload it on Moodle simply because it was big. It was too big to upload. So I left it for you in the library. You can have it printed out for you, or you can have a copy on your flash drive. Next time we're going to try and finish chapters 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. We'll try to do them because we don't have time. We have to hurry. I want you to go and write in no more than 1,000 words an essay on the Mississippi River rolls. I want you to write an essay on the rolls of the Mississippi River in Huckleberry Finn, what it symbolizes in the novel. We've mentioned before that it symbolizes life, it symbolizes freedom, it symbolizes happiness, it symbolizes a lot of these ideas connected with water. But again, I want you to think of Mississippi as Edward Said thought of the oceans to Ahab and Ishmael in Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Remember that according to Edward Said, empires paid attention to land, al-bar, while the Americans paid attention to waters. They want to build their empire in relation to waters in light of Moby Dick perspective, because the ship spent 95% on the water grappling with the whale Moby Dick. Now, these people are also spending, Jem and Huck, spending their time on the raft. That was a ship on the ocean. This is a raft on the river. So you can compare between these two texts, Huckleberry Finn and Moby Dick, so that you can come with conclusions related to life in America. Why Mississippi? And look at the itinerary, the start point of the journey and the last destination of it. Where they go through over the raft, what is their itinerary? What is their itinerary? Itinerary is the starting and the ending points of a journey. It's good to look at if you Google, for example, Huckleberry Finn itinerary on Mississippi, you will find the points, the states that the raft cuts across. Also, I want you to start looking for the relationship between these three, Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain, and Empire. What is the standpoint of Mark Twain on Empire? Does Mark Twain support imperial ambitions of Americans? Does he challenge it? Does he challenge imperial ambitions of Americans? In his book, Innocence Abroad, what is his take on the Palestinians? Okay? In fact, at the time, the term Palestinians did not exist. But what was his take on the place, on the country that he visited in Palestine? And also, what is his take on imperial ambitions of the Europeans on the American soil? What is his take on slavery? Take, when we say take, we say standpoint or opinion. It is very important you go and think of these aspects, because Mark Twain lived in a society that had slaves as a matter of fact, as an absolute truth. Nobody argued about slaves, or he portrayed this in a society that in which, especially the American South, unlike the American North, embraced slavery for a longer time than the American North. The American North was much industrial, was more educated, as you can say, because most of the cultural institutions were established in the North. I told you before that Harvard is situated in the North. Princeton is situated, Yale is in the North, Yale University. These famous world-class universities are all in the North. You have Stanford University in California, you have California University, and you have Texas University. Otherwise, most of big name universities are located in the North. Princeton, Rutgers, Yale, New York University, Columbia University, where Edward Said had taught for 40 years and where he in fact engaged with American literature. I also would like you to go and see if Edward Said, as a critic of imperialism, had anything to do with Huckleberry Finn. He analyzed Moby Dick, he analyzed Kim, he analyzed Joseph Conrad, The Heart of Darkness, but did he write anything on the adventures of Huckleberry Finn? I leave it for you to search for this, or to apply his theory of post-colonial studies on Huckleberry Finn, to read what he writes, or at least you can read his introduction to Moby Dick, which is included in his book Reflections on Exile, where you can find certain comments on Huckleberry Finn. There are also critics such as Lionel Trilling, who wrote an introduction to one of the versions of Huckleberry Finn. Also, T.S. Eliot wrote something about Huckleberry Finn. These are famous critics. It's very important you have a look at what they say so that you are able to articulate and before articulate, formulate an opinion on Huckleberry Finn as a very famous American text, and that will help you when you are asked to write about it either in the exam or in any other place. Thank you for now. Please stay tuned for next time. Bye-bye.